Hey everyone, welcome back to Seekers of the Malediction. I'm one of your hosts, Pat. Today we'll be doing a battle report of my first round for the April TTS tournament going on. So the TTS tournament is 3 weeks in April and is just wrapping up at the time of this recording. There's another one going on for May. I think Juggle, who is in the community, is kind of putting these on and is intending to do them one a month essentially. So 16 players, 4 round event. Hopefully, essentially you get your pairings and then you have 1 week to schedule a game with your opponent and then report back the findings. And then, yeah, at the end of the month, there should be a winner. April got cut a little short because he kind of had to get things in order to get it launched and was a little bit late getting it out. So big thanks to Juggle putting this out. I'm playing an Auric deck, which I came up with the idea of the night before we had to submit deck registration. So I've only gotten at this point 1.5 games against Zach. My first game, I overextended and was just feeding Zach models. So we kind of called it after 2 rounds, I think, and just re-racked and played another game where we got 2/3 of the way in, I think like round 4-ish, and then it was just getting late, so we called it. But just trying to get an understanding of the deck and make sure that the deck kind of works. The deck is a little unconventional. It's essentially spamming low cost units and items in order to play onto board and out activate your opponent. So we'll have a full deck review that kind of explains the deck and gives more insight into it. But yeah, essentially what I'm trying to do is just play the board, really aggro. You'll see in this kind of whole series that I'm trying to find out what the deck wants to do. So like I said, I only had a game and a half, and there's a lot of learning throughout this whole series that I'll kind of give insight into. So we play Huss. I try to place my Huss by launch pads next to the Shattered Throne terrain so I can get 2 inches of movement. He places one in the ambush and then one outside. And that one he placed on the top end of things, I already identify as a problem. Getting in and getting out of there easily. It's going to take multiple rounds, one round to get in, if you can even get in from, there in 1 round, and then another round getting out. So whatever goes to pick up that relic is going to take a lot of time. My opening hand, I do not like to see 2 rebounding throws. I'm almost, again, wanting to play to board, and those are 2 spells that stick in my hand. So I'm almost always bidding rebounding throws. So I bid one of them away. We tie and then roll, and I win the roll. So again, because I identified that relic in that ambush terrain is going to be a problem to get, I choose the bottom left corner and make him deal with it. So he will gain initiative. So I play 3 of everything I can. So this is a little bit of a lackluster of a hand. 3 units is not the number of units. This list typically wants to drop 4 to 5 units turn one. 3 is a little light, but I have 2 items, so that will let me dig deeper into my deck to hopefully draw more units for the following round. So I do like how the deck hits consistently. As I said, if you have bad draws like this, typically you're landing a couple of other items that will let you draw deeper into your deck, so you can kind of stabilize and get back on track of what you're wanting to do round 2. So we'll just kind of skip ahead. He's going to deploy Sestinar with ambush in the terrain, and then he also deploys a disciple and a Deadeye Archer. So nothing really interesting turn one. I run the Terric Beast into position where I can threaten that relic. So I make him go first, or he elects to go first, I believe, because he has initiative. He runs to the relic. I run a Terric Beast to threaten the relic next turn. And then he is going to go with his Deadeye Archer just to kind of back up his disciple that is picking up the relic. Skip ahead a little bit. And then I choose not to pray with my priest, just because I thought getting up and being aggressive early on is going to be more important than gaining the 1 or 2 echo. Or, worst case, I don't want to stand in my deployment zone and gain 3 echo. I just didn't feel like it was worth it. So I only have 2 people that can pick up the relic. I felt like it was going to slow me down too much to try to get gain up on echo. I'd much rather have uh, foregone the echo and allowed her to pick up the relic and pass it next round. So that was my intent there. As I identified Cessinar, even though he deployed in that ambushing terrain with the relic, he really couldn't get out of there. He has to stay there anyways. So he's kind of stuck back there. So he can pick that one up. He gets first pick. He picks the snap chain on Cessinar. I pick the reliquary, I believe, on the priest. Yep. Again, I'm not sure who I'm going to pass that item to yet because I have a shaman in my hand that I drew off the items, but um, reliquary is just great if you don't really have a plan, and none of those other relics really were that appealing to me. Fang on these low-cost units for an extra attack isn't really that great of value, so I wasn't eager to snatch that up. But here comes Reaper on the last one, and that's definitely what Twin Blades want to see. They have an ability called Onslaught, 2 action points. They make 3 attacks, so even on glances, you're doing a minimum of 12 damage. So that's the number one item that Twin Blades want to see always. And then the list is what you'll see kind of throughout the games is our rating on Shaman was egregiously low. After playing this deck so much, a Shaman definitely deserves a higher ranking, and probably in the B plus A minus range. She can just do things like double battle cry to get 2 other models an advance forward, which is really great for the Twin Blades because then that allows them to onslaught if he can walk 8 inches forward, and then onslaught something, a following activation. 2 other models already engaged, like Revenants that hit at 4/2. She can onslaught them, or a Mauler, or anything else. The Eteric Beast that is hitting at 4/2 is Swarm. Battle Cry on a 4-cost unit is just really, really good. So people that are hesitant to put the shamans in your deck, I think she's incredible, or he, and I would definitely recommend putting it in. So I redeploy. I'm going to try to, again, Cessinar is kind of not in the game. It's gonna be until next round where he can really do anything because he's just so separated from the rest of his force. So I chose to deploy on the right here, and then threaten this relic holder as well as the Deadeye Archer. And so now he didn't deploy anything. I have 5 activations to his 3. This is still relatively low at this point of the game. I'd really like to see 6 or 7 activations, but we had to throw a slow start, and I had to equip a bunch of items in order to dig to those units. But I already have a priest on board. Priest is going to be able to start praying, getting that echo, and so you'll see pretty quickly I'll catch back up here. So he activates first. I did a challenge for initiative. The reason why I bid away that extra priest is priests are really good in the opener and even round 2, but I already had Shaman, and I'll probably draw into more cards that I cared about playing, so I was fine bidding away the priest to try to make him burn a card. Whenever I'm bidding, I'm not actually expecting to win initiative. I'm just trying to get them to discard a card, especially a high value card, right? If they're concerned that I'm going to bid something high. So yeah, Priest doesn't really do much. I don't really care too much about the Echo. I already have 1 on board, so she'll be getting me 3 a turn. And I have Reaper's Edge as well, which gives me 3 on kill. So he does the right move. He ran his Disciple away with the first activation. So I go and I activate the Revenant to charge the Deadeye Arms here. And I do Glance, which does 2 damage. And I'd at least tie him up here. He also casted Dark Bindings. Dark Bindings is a great sideboard card or main deck card, especially against this deck. Hitting those Shamans or the Twin Blades to essentially exhaust them, it really hurts this deck. maybe holding on to it would have been better value, but I can't fault him for wanting to deal with some of this early aggression right off the bat. So now I think he's contemplating whether he wants to run. So if I do get a hit, because I do have an item on that Revenant, I can chuck the item, do 2 more damage, which would be a total of 6, and then kill it. The archer can't really shoot at him engaged anyway because he's ranged only. So even if he stood there and wanted to shoot at the Revenant or something else, he would do it, take the damage or take a retaliation. So he decides he's going to try to run for it, but then I hit him anyways, and then I do chuck the item to do the 2 damage. All right, so now it's my activation. So I decide there's no rush. I don't want to get too far ahead of the rest of my force, which is kind of on the lower half of the map. So I didn't want to run my twin blade. So I'm kind of repositioning him to kind of centralize everything and group up before I push in next turn. It is a little bit of a concern going into this train because he hasn't deployed Vorendal, and I think he's at like 13 Echo right now. So the concern is that he drops Vorendal into that terrain and then can onslaught and just murder a bunch of stuff. If he also has the item to deploy Vorendal into the ambush, which is like the cloak, I believe. So you'll see here that I kind of pile things into that train just in case if he were to do that, I would have bodies to kind of deal with it. So Cessnar just figuring out where he wants to go and kind of dealing with getting out of there. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. He ends up just kind of taking a defensive position behind this pillar. Again, he has Snapjaw Chain, is a great hit and run item for Cessnar. If he hits it on a readied unit with his ambush, it's going to do 10 damage. And so this is actually the first time that we are experiencing what is going to be a reoccurring theme for the rest of this game is this choke point here. And he has this model that kind of prevents I'll say a medium-sized base from getting through. So it blocks him this round from Cessnar going where he wanted him to go. And this will reoccur again in future rounds. So Terric Beast moving up again to get ready to, charge in next turn with everything. And then Priest is coming up as well, and she just makes an advance to stick together and then pray for 3. So that's the end of round 2. Again, Shaman did not get to go because he casted Dark Bindings on her. All right, so drawing another 2 units here. So this is looking pretty good now. I believe I'm at 12 Echo right now, so I can drop pretty much everything. He elects to, or I tell him to deploy first because he did not contest for initiative. So he's going to bring down Vorendal and a Dead at Arms. I'm going to skip ahead. I deploy most stuff by the Revenant on the right side here. And then one of the Terric Beasts I do kind of deploy on the left-hand side as well. So just skipping ahead until we're done with deployment. So you can see Mauler and Shaman over by the Revenant, Terric Beast deployed off of that that Priest in the back, kind of supporting anything else that were coming up. So here, pretty good board side. I think this illustrates what the deck is trying to do. I have 8 activations. He has 4. So I make him activate first, and this is going to give me essentially 5 activations where he can't do anything other than cast Swifts, right? So what I'm trying to do early in the round is I'm going with less meaningful activations. I go with the Priest just to walk her up. She's going to pray. Make him burn another activation. I believe he goes with the Dead at Arms, and he shifts the Dead at Arms over a little bit. And in this state, I've set up some pretty, I don't really have a weakness, right? in terms of like nothing's kind of not supported. So if he chooses to charge into me, I'm more than happy because he's only going to do one swing, where I will be doing, I'll be hitting double swinging back into him with whatever he charges. So he's losing activations that way. And if he just wants to stall out and not come into me, then I'm fine going with those 5 activations at the very end, where I'll hammer on him and put all my charges in. Here I go with the Terric Beast, not looking to commit him, but I'm trying to get him to make a mistake by maybe overcommitting. So it's like, hey, here, come kill my two Echo, 2 Mastery unit I don't really care about. And even with Cessinar, because that Terric Beast is already activated, he cannot walk up and hit it with Snapjane, pull it in, and kill it. If Cessinar did that against a readied unit, he would be able to, because it'd be 10 damage, but right now he's only able to do 8 total. And we'll see here, he does have a spell that will cause the damage of it. And I think, my opponent is fairly new. I think this is his 3rd game playing. He's playing the Precon deck from that they, Loot Studios put together for Adepticon. So I don't think he had a full understanding and mastery of the rules at this point yet. But he does do the 8 damage, and then he calls Death Call, which kills the unit, but it won't proc his hit and run, unfortunately. And Death Call, we kind of talked about this in the video for our card review. Even though it did 24 damage here, it feels like kind of it didn't make a huge difference other than killing that Terric Beast. Like, I don't care that I took some chip damage on all my other units, right? I'm still just as effective as I was previously. From Death Call, he gets to proc the Legacy, so he moved the Dead at Arms out of the way, and then with the Legacy procking, he chose to move the Dead at Arms again, but he moved it back to where it was eventually, like originally, and now it's kind of in the way of Vorendal again. So the only thing left to activate at this point is Vorendal. So I say, you know what? If Vorendal wants to walk in and take 1 hit on my Cavern Mauler, it shouldn't kill him with a single swing without doing more, something else. And he doesn't have any Echo right now, so I thought this was safe to do. So first charge in, I hit him, do 3 damage. And then Vorendal is going to go, and this is where we're going to see that same issue last time where he kind of blocked himself in, unfortunately. So we end up kind of fidgeting as best we can and getting him as close as we can, but he's still, an 1/8 of an inch out, or unfortunately. So at that point, he just kind of backs him up and elects him to do nothing, which is not great. I mean, I think it was the right call. What else, could you expect him to do? You don't want to run him around the pillar just so he can get charged himself by everything else, but it doesn't feel great when your 10 Echo unit doesn't do anything. So at this point, Shaman activates. I'm free to do whatever I want. I'm playing the game by myself now. Shaman will go, activates, battle cries the Twin Blade. Twin Blade advances. Then I'm going to go with the Terric Beast. The reason why I want to go with the Terric Beast first is I want to just put on some damage so the Twin Blade can kill him and proc hit and run. I mean, this is just security, and I'm glad I did it because he glances and does 2 damage with Swarm. But with the Reaper, it should be a minimum of 12 damage on glances. So first one is 4 damage because I glance. I do have a weapon I could throw as well. And then I roll a 1. So 1 is just 1 damage, unfortunately. Reaper's Edge doesn't add to it. So now I need to hit, which I do hit and do crit anyways. So it's overkill. But even if I glance, I still had the backup of the item to do 2 more damage. So I could have still procced hit and run if I needed to. So at that point, I kill him. I go up to 32 mastery. The relic gets dropped. And I can proc hit and run, which I think I just kind of set him up to be able to charge Vorendal next turn to get some better line of sight. I debate whether I want to cast Rebounding Throw to dig deeper. I do have the Echo to cast it, but I decide just doing some extra damage doesn't really matter. I'll hold on to it in case I actually need it to kill something the following turn. So last two models to activate, Revenant. I forgot to tap the Shaman there, but the Revenant's going. He charges in on the Knight. He's going to hit him. I do 4 damage, I believe. And then the last thing is just for the Shaman to come up. And the Shaman's just going to Battle Cry the Revenant as well. And I do a glance there, so that's only 2 damage. So I leave him on 1. But that's all right because he's still kind of blocking Vorendal, so it's not the worst thing. I felt to leave him there, and I didn't want to cast Rebounding Throw just to deal with him. So we'll go into the next round. So I'm at 16 Echo at this point, so I can drop actually both the Crossbowman and the Terric Beast and Auric. Auric is usually only being casted if I blank my hand and I don't draw any units for whatever reason. Or I just have the extra Echo to play him, like in this situation. So this is after I cast all 3 of these, I'm going to be at 11 units, and he is going to deploy a Prowler, so he'll be at 4. He does put the Prowler ambushing into... Oh, and he did bid for initiative, which I was fine just letting him have. At this point, it doesn't really matter to me. So I'm still at 1 Echo, but I could, kill something with the Reaper to gain Echo, or I'm able to pray and get enough mastery, or I could chuck an item to get, enough Echo to be able to cast this Rebounding Throw. When I say chuck an item, I mean destroy it to gain 2 damage, or 2 less damage coming in, and then get that Echo back. All right. So I believe he drops the Prowler. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. He elects to activate first. He's going to kill my Shaman here. Or not my Shaman, by my Priestess. So he'll do a glance, which is 4 damage, and then even if you rolled the 1, I think he's going to, he ends up killing it. So. So Vorendal still hasn't gone, and I don't want him onslaughting, so I don't want to engage him with anything to give him the free onslaught, because he'll just kill whatever he engages with. So I elect to go with the Mauler, and I'm just going to hit the Dead at Arms, which will persist because he was at 1, and then I'll swing again and kill him. So I get that one with the Mauler. Then it's his activation, and he has either Vorendal or the Disciple to go with left. He elects to go with Vorendal. Single swing is not going to kill my Mauler, unfortunately, unless he rolls a crit. So he'll do 6 damage there. So at this point, Vorendal's already gone. There's no way really he can do any too much damage, so I feel comfortable going in with Auric. I charge with him just to do 5 damage, do a glance for 3. And then he has his last activation, which is the Disciple. I think the Disciple is just going to shoot at Auric through the window there. And then I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more activations to try to kill everything and scoop up. So I already have the Crossbowman there to grab the Relic. I think you can see a Shaman can walk over, Battle Cry, the Twin Blade. I'll even take an attack of retaliation from this Shaman. I don't know if I end up doing that. I think I do, but it doesn't matter because he can't kill me unless with the crit. So I just want to walk the Twin Blade Assassin in there, onslaught with him, Revenant's going to hit twice. Shaman can battle cry the Mauler and the Revenant to do 2 more damage. I think I swap out the Reliquary after swinging and using it to hit with the Fang to do another attack. I have a Crossbowman that can take a shot. 2 Terric Beasts that can swing. So I do end up killing everything. He does play a Price of Devotion to sacrifice his Disciple to prevent Vorn from dying, but like I said, it doesn't really matter that much. I end up killing him, and then my crossbowman stays on that relic and ends up picking it up. So I will end the game here. I'll let this play out with 58 mastery. I think this deck illustrates what I want to do. Play aggressive, get on board, get a bunch of activations, and then essentially just play the game by myself once my opponent is done activating. So yeah, I think this was a great first game, and it felt really, satisfying to come up with an idea and have the deck execute kind of as I envisioned it. But we will see that's not always the case with our future rounds. So if you guys are interested in more, I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe. We'll, our focus really isn't doing battle reports, to be honest with you. Myself, I don't really um, care to watch too many battle reports, but I know a lot of people, have voiced wanting to see and get insight into how Zach and I pilot decks. So we'll do commentary sometime. Over the top of them. Other times we'll just upload our recordings with the in-game voices and the conversations we're having as long as they're PC. But yeah, if there's something else you guys want to see or different about our battle reports, please let us know in the comments. We're willing to try to, do our best when it comes to providing gameplay footage. But otherwise, yeah, please like and subscribe, and until next time.